This is episode 23. In the previous episode, we had covered till verse 26 of chapter 3. Chapter 3 is about Karma Yoga, where God is explaining the importance of fighting one's righteous battle. Today, we will cover 9 verses, that is verse 3.27 to 3.35. Let me first start with the literal translation, and then I will talk about some interesting things. Starting off with verse 27, which is Prakriti kriyamani guna karmani sarvasha ahankar vimudatma karta aham iti manyate. God says, all actions are carried out by the inherent qualities of the material objects. But in ignorance, the deluded person thinks of himself or herself as the doer. This is verse 27. Then verse 28 is Tattva vittu mahabaho gun karma vibhagayo guna guneshu vartant iti matva na sajjate. O mighty armed, which is a reference to Arjun, a person who is aware of the truth about inherent qualities of material objects and how they impact outcomes is not attached to the fruits of action. Such a person knows that the outcome of actions is due to the inherent qualities of material objects and their moving amongst each other, or in other words, their interaction with each other and as perceived by one's sense organs. Therefore, this person is not attached to the fruits or outcomes of action. That was verse 28. Verse 29 is Prakriti gun sammudha sajjante gun karmasu tan akritsan vidah mandan kritsnuvit na vichalet. God says that one who is ignorant about the inherent qualities of material objects remains attached to the fruits of action. The wise shouldn't bewilder or unsettle the delusion of such ignorant people whose intelligence is limited. That was verse 29. Verse 30 is Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetsa nirashi nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigat jwara. God says, perform all actions as an offering unto me. Relinquish all your activities to me. Focus your consciousness on yourself. Remove ego and desire from within yourself. And then fight like your fever is gone. This is verse 30. Then verse 31 is Ye me matam idam nityam anutishtanti manavah shraddhavanto ansuyanto muchyante te api karmabhi. God says, I believe those who abide by my teachings with total faith and without trying to find mistakes are released from the bondage of karma. Here, God talks about faith, and we have said in the past that belief is a necessary condition but not a sufficient condition. Here God says, it's important to have belief. I have said the outcomes of actions is due to the inherent quality of material objects and their interaction with each other as perceived by our senses is what God is saying. One who goes on this path with belief is freed from the bondage of karma. Karmic bondage is a delusion that arises that you are the cause of the action and you are therefore attached to the fruits thereof. That was verse 31. Verse 32 is Ye tu etat abhyasuyanta na anutishtanti me matam sarvagyan vimudhan tan viddhi nashtan achetsa. God says, those who don't follow or act on my teachings and find faults with them are bereft of knowledge and are deluded. And we should know that such a person's intellect has been ruined. This is verse 32. And then let me read verses 33 and 34 together. Sadrisham cheshtate swasya prakrite jnanvan api prakritam yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Indriyasya arthi rag dveshau vivasthitau tayoh na vasham agachetau hi asya paripanthinau. God says that even wise people act according to their nature, as all living beings act according to their natural tendencies. What will one gain by restraint? Notice that the word used here is restraint, not renunciation, which is a very different word. So wise people act according to their natural tendency, such as eating food upon feeling hungry. What will happen if we start practicing restraint? In the second verse, God says that the inherent action, positive or negative, of the senses to material objects is nature ordained. Hence, do not be controlled by them as they are obstacles in your path. Effectively, God is saying that as sense organs perceive material objects or their interaction with each other or with one's own body, there is a natural reaction of liking or repulsion, which is nature ordained. Do not be controlled by them as they will create hurdles in your path. This was verse 34. Then verse 35 is Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna Pardharmat Swa Anutishtat Swadharme Nidhanam Shreya Pardharmo Bhayavah. God says it is far better to fight one's righteous battle, though tinged with faults, than to perform another's, though it might seem perfect or better. It is preferable to die in the discharge of one's righteous battle, and it is dangerous to get swayed by that of another. These were literal translations of verses 27 to 35. God continues to talk about fighting the righteous battle without getting attached to the fruits of action. In these verses, especially 27 to 29, God emphasizes that you are not the cause of the fruits of action. In verse 27, he says that one who considers himself or herself to be the reason or the cause is ignorant. Simultaneously, he also mentioned that outcomes happen due to the inherent qualities of material objects and their interaction with each other. So what is this inherent nature and what are these qualities he keeps referring to? In chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita, God talks about Prakriti and Purush. Purush is either the infinite or the soul in this context. Prakriti is their inherent nature or manifestation. Paramahansa Yoganand talks about 24 different qualities of nature, such as ego, mind, intelligence, feeling, the 5 sense organs, 5 cosmic elements such as ether, air, fire, water, and earth, 5 types of activities such as vibratory, grasping motion, forward motion, creative power, and eliminative power, and 5 forces or currents that are crystallizing, metabolizing, assimilating, circulating, and eliminating. So in total, he talks about 24 qualities, which I find complicated. My interpretation is that we have read various science subjects such as physical sciences that have Newton's laws of motion, Einstein's theory of relativity, and quantum mechanics, which describe the impact, cause, and outcome of forces and actions. Simultaneously, we also read chemistry, in which compounds and elements react with each other, resulting in an outcome. Then in biological sciences, we read about life forces, body components and activities in living beings, plants, and the subsequent actions performed by them. We also read social and economic sciences, wherein we study reactions and outcomes of human behavior. So all of these physical sciences, chemistry, biology, social sciences, and economics show that outcomes emerge through interactions of many things with each other in a large complex system. It is not possible to ascribe causality to one particle while explaining any outcomes. In childhood, the thing I used to find very interesting was Fermi-Dirac distribution or Bose-Einstein or Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics when studying Brownian motion. These statistics and distributions are based on the characteristics of each particle, but outcomes are determined in a complex system based on the interactions of millions of such particles. So an outcome is a result of a lot of particles that are mixed together and varying forces acting on them. And this is why it is said that don't consider yourself as the cause, just as one particle is not the cause of that complex system's behavior. Outcome is a result of the inherent qualities of material objects and their interactions with each other as comprehended by our sense organs. Another thing that's important to ponder upon is, if I am not the doer, then if I burn someone, kill someone, or slap someone, then what is my fault, as I am not the doer? Outcomes are due to the inherent qualities of material objects and their interactions. So, why should I be blamed in such an instance? That is a fair point. If I throw a human being into fire, he or she will burn. But that's not the case unless the fire is at a very high temperature. Similarly, if I slap a man, he is bound to be in pain. But if I punch a mirror, then my hand would end up getting cut. So the outcome is determined by the material objects and their interaction with each other. So why is it said that you shouldn't burn someone or slap someone? I think that facts have to be looked at in context. Chapter 3 is an elaboration or explanation of the core tenets laid out in Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is the North Star, and you will get bewildered in the Gita without this anchor. What did God say in the North Star Chapter 2? He asked us to fight the righteous battle and fight it with yoga. Perform action with objective, with skill, with rational discrimination, and with perseverance, being in control of our senses and not consider ourselves to be the cause or to be attached to the fruits of action. Now, if you slap or burn someone, were you fighting the righteous battle? Maybe, if you were a soldier fighting a war, and then it is justified. But if that's not the case, then slapping or burning someone is wrong. Then was your action with yoga? Did you have the right objective, the right skill, the right rational discrimination, the right perseverance? If not, then how is this karma with yoga? And if this is not the righteous battle or action with yoga, then it will internally impact you. During the internal introspection, your Sanjay will say that this is wrong and that you have lost the internal righteous battle that day. It will also have an impact externally. If you slap or burn someone, it is bound to have a social impact. Social and human relations impact is due to the inherent qualities of material objects. Family members of the person you burnt will be hurt and may come to fight you. So you have to look at things in totality, and you can't look at things without getting the full context. This is important to understand this set of verses. Moving further, in verse 3.30, God says, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya. Renounce all your duties unto me. Then he uses words like adhyatma chetsa, nirashir, nirmamo. What does this mean? Nirmam means no ego, no me. One should not be arrogant. Nirashir means do not desire to get fruits of the action. It doesn't mean that you should not desire anything, but it means do not desire the fruits of the action that you've committed. Adhyatma chetsa means controlling our senses and being focused or determined. And Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya means renounce all your duties unto me. What does this mean? What is the definition of God? God is the best of the best of the best. It is excellence in work. It could be a physical form, unmanifested form. You can follow what you believe in and what you deem is correct. That was verse 30. Then it is important to talk about verses 33 and 34 because they can be sometimes confusing. Especially in verse 33, God says, what will one gain by restraint? People act according to their nature. If you're feeling hungry, then you cannot continue worshipping God. How will you focus on the righteous battle or on performing your righteous duty with yoga if you are hungry? The priority here would be eating food to satiate hunger. Therefore, it implies that restraint is meaningless. This is different from doing action with yoga or renouncing your attachment to the fruits of the action or renouncing the concept of considering yourself as the cause. That is different. We are discussing restraint here. Towards the end of chapter 2, I had mentioned that as you progress in the Gita, you have to understand things in the right context. If you just take things literally or try to understand them without the context, then you will get lost. This is important. God talks a lot about anger and hatred. They originate from how material objects interact with us or with each other and how our senses perceive them, and therefore their impact can be controlled. Anger, hatred, and lust will be mentioned frequently in chapter 3 and beyond. Finally, in verse 35, God says that your righteous battle is better than someone else's, even if it doesn't feel to be the best. Then verse 35 is Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna Pardharmat Swa Anutishtat Swadharme Nidhanam Shreya Pardharmo Bhayavah. This verse of the Gita has been criticized quite a lot because it's said that this verse perpetuates the caste system. The practice of the caste system has hurt crores of people and has been a menace in our society. That's the criticism. My interpretation is that your righteous battle is in front of you. It has nothing to do with your caste. I understand why this verse is criticized. Your righteous battle is in front of you. It is staring you in the face. And I would say there is no relationship between the righteous battle and the caste system. We will stop here today. Thank you.